in his...
Yeah, thank you, Bante. So I'm really happy to be joining this session. I think I know, or we know each other, many of us. I can see many of the names. Even Venerable Rajinder was also in my MA class, so we know each other well, and I know many more of you. And also happy, obviously, to see many. I can see many Myanmar monks and people from Myanmar, so I'm also happy. Thank you for your introduction, Bante. I will try my best to make it as wonderful as you made it sound. So let's see. So we'll do the presentation. I prepared one PDF document which I think was sent to you all. So we'll go through that one, and then we'll have some time at the end for any questions. So maybe I can share the screen now. Okay, so we'll begin. I've selected here just from a few books, just to make this a bit bigger. I just want you to read this small paragraph. This is from the book Comprehensive Manual of the Abhidhamma by Bodhi. So just have a read of this one paragraph and see what you think. Particularly this sentence. And Aya Wimala, for her perceptive comments on a draft version of the guide which led to significant improvements in the text. This is the acknowledgements. This is right at the beginning of the book, as we see with all books, theses, we see acknowledgements, okay? So we note that first acknowledgement there, yeah? Perceptive comments on the draft version which led to significant improvements. So I'll bring up another one. This is another book, a very, very well-known book. Early Buddhist teachings by Professor Dasa. Just read the 3 paragraphs. See what you think. Smaller, Bante?
Yeah. Do I need to read in what?
No, just read to yourself. You don't need to read out loud. I particularly just want to, just note help in word processing. Can you see clearly? Do I need to make bigger?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It might be a bit blurred.
Right.
I think you can see, huh?
This is to see the all paragraphs.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice looking.
Helping me many ways. Word processing. Dr. Ashoka is known to many of us. Dr. Ashoka at our institute. Yeah, so Dr. Ashoka was involved in helping with this book. Here we have for carefully going through the whole manuscript and making many valuable suggestions to improve the quality of the book. Formatting the manuscript and for proofreading. So these are all thanks to people helping to edit, to format, suggestions, proofreading. These are in the acknowledgements. Okay?
Yes.
We don't need to go into the detail, but it's just to highlight the point. Okay?
Good.
Here we have another one. So here, I'll read a few sentences from this. Although most books are attributed to one single author, well, actually many individuals, various individuals and many factors contribute to the development of any manuscript or any thesis or any book. So one person writes a thesis, but they do not do it alone. That's the point. Yeah? So here, look, let's highlight some words here. So you can see, again, we're not looking at the detail. I just want to highlight the fact that the most famous writers in the world, when they finish or when they are drafting, when they are writing, they don't do it alone. They are asking for help. Okay? Help with proofreading, help with suggestions. Yeah? That's the point that I just want to begin with, is even the most famous writers in the world, they ask for help. Yeah? So, this is what I want to show to start with. Writing is a recursive process. What does recursive mean? So recursive means it's not from start to finish. Start writing the introduction, finish. Start writing chapter, next chapter, finish, then the next chapter, finish, then the next chapter, one by one, finish. Writing a thesis, as many of us know, it's not like that. Yeah? We begin with generating ideas. We then plan, we outline, we draft. This is very important, we draft. Draft means not finished. It's a work in progress, it's a draft. After drafting, we read, reflect. Then the next bit, which is very important, get feedback from colleagues and supervisors. So it means you should not be shy showing your writing to other people. Show it to people that you trust. them to read it. Please read. Is it clear? Can you follow my argument? Is it structured well? Are there any grammar mistakes? This is very important. We have to show our work to other people to get suggestions. This helps us to improve. Don't keep your writing to yourself. If you really want to improve your writing, if you want to really take your writing to a higher level, this is very, very important. So after getting feedback, after showing, you might decide to redraft. You go back, maybe you redraft, you change things, you modify, you improve. You write another draft, same process. You reflect on it, you show it again, you get feedback. You might do this a few times. Yeah? Sometimes it can be frustrating, sometimes it can be difficult because you write something and then you realize it's not good enough. I have to change many of it, much of it I have to change. This is part of the process. So after maybe doing this a few times, you then revise, maybe you do this again, maybe you get more ideas, further ideas. Then finally, maybe after doing a few drafts, you get to the final editing. You get to the final stage. This is like the final polish. Yeah, this is when you just go through doing the final checking. So, one important thing I want to highlight here, and you can see from this chart, is that proofreading and editing is not something apart from your writing. It's not something you do, oh, if I have time, I might proofread it. If I have time. It's not like that. Proofreading and editing is part of the process. It's not something separate. So it's very important. You have spent maybe 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5 years, writing something, putting many hours, yeah, a lot of hardship, sometimes struggling a lot, yeah, all sorts of challenges, financial challenges, country-wise, many challenges might be there. So you are successful, you are near the end. So it's a great shame to finish something and not do a proper proofread and edit at the end. You should have confidence after you have finished your PhD or your MPhil. You should have confidence to show that to anyone around the world. Anyone, any university around the world. With confidence, you should be able to show your thesis knowing that it has been proofread, at least there are no grammar mistakes, everything is clear. So that's what we're aiming for. So that's the first thing I want to start with. So the second thing, I want to just tell you the difference between two aspects to proofreading and editing. You can just proofread your thesis. Proofreading means just checking for grammar. Just checking for grammar mistakes, making sure there are no punctuation mistakes, spelling mistakes. That's proofreading. That's done at the end, right at the very end. But there's something else called a copy editor. A copy editor. So you have two things. You have proofreading and you have what's called a copy editor. And a copy editor is before the final stage. So what will they look at? They're not really looking so much at the punctuation, the grammar mistakes. They're really looking at the overall thesis. So what's the language used? So, what's the tone? Have you used the right language? Is it formal language, or have you used lots of informal language? Is it all connected? Does it flow nicely? Yeah? Does it match? So maybe you've written something in chapter 2, and then you're writing the same thing in chapter 3, but are they the same? Or have you contradicted yourself in chapters? So a copy editor will look for this to make sure that you're coherent, consistency, making sure that your ideas are clear, readable. They'll be looking at the structure. And maybe you've written this paragraph here, but it doesn't fit there. Maybe move it. Maybe move that paragraph to a different place. So this is what a copy editor does. So the work that a copy editor does is more than a proofreader. Yeah, because they have to do more work. They have to keep more things in mind. So that's the copy editor. And then, as I mentioned, what does a proofreader do? So they're looking for spelling mistakes, typography errors, grammar, punctuation, use of language and format. That's what a proofreader does. So it's actually very difficult. I do this myself. I do a lot of proofreading and editing, not just at our university, but also I have lots of other people who I work with. And you can't do these two things together. You can't proofread and edit at the same time. Yeah? You have to go through once, doing the copy editing, making sure that everything is in the right place, everything is clear. Then you have to go back through again, then you have to proofread. It's a big job. It's not a small thing. Those of you who have done this, those of you who are doing this, if you're working with a proofreader or editor, you will know this. You will know the work that goes into this. So, copy editor and proofreader. So I've mentioned these two, the difference between a copy editor and a proofreader, but basically I just want to highlight this. You have to be realistic. You have to be realistic. I'm a native speaker, and I'm now doing my PhD, and I find it difficult sometimes. And I make lots of grammar mistakes, and I make spelling mistakes, and I also have challenges from time to time with my writing. I'm a native speaker. English is my mother tongue. So I highly appreciate you writing a PhD thesis or an MPhil thesis in English language. English is not your mother tongue. And the number of theses that I've read, the number of theses that I've proofread and that I've edited, I'm really impressed. Yeah, they're really good quality. Yeah, really good quality. But what the editing and the proofreading does at the end, it takes it to another level. You have already written something very nice, very, very, very well written. But by doing this final editing and proofreading, you really elevate it to a really, really high standard. So you don't have to be perfect, but we just try to be as good as it can be. Yeah? How many, when PhD candidates or MPhil candidates come to me, as an example, they come to me and they ask, oh, can you proofread, can you help me check my thesis? I always say yes, but I always get the same, they always give me the same line. Here's my PhD thesis, I'm not satisfied. Yeah? I'm not satisfied with what I've written. Yeah? And then they give that to me. But when I read it, I'm really amazed. This is really good. This is a really good thesis. So, you will never be satisfied. I think even the best writers in the world will say that. Yeah? You have a limit, you have a time frame, you have to finish. Yeah? Otherwise you will never finish. You will always, I want to improve more, I want to improve more. You can't do it. You get it to as good as it can be, finish it. Finish it, get your PhD, move on. Start teaching, start being active in your duty. Yeah? Teaching Dhamma. That's the aim. So, we try to get it as good as it can be, but this is what we're aiming for. We are aiming. You should aim high. You should aim to produce a high quality piece of work. That's the aim. And to achieve that, you need help. Yeah? You need help. When I finish my PhD thesis, hopefully next year, I will try and finish. I will give it to someone else to proofread and edit. I will not do it myself. Why? Let's come down here. Because we have a mental image of our writing. Yeah? We read over and over again, and we are really, it's great. There are no mistakes. Yeah? It's perfect. I don't need to show this to anyone. I've already checked it myself a number of times. So you see, yes, it's perfect. I have written several drafts, have edited it many times, and now my mind looks and sees the meaning that it has created. So this is the mental image. But what's the reality? The reality is, I have written several drafts, have edited it many times, and now my mind looks for and sees meaning that it has created. You don't see that. You don't see the mistakes because your eyes are not picking up. You're not picking up these errors. Yeah? So that's why it's important to if you're in a position to show it to someone else, that's the best. Yeah? So, what I want to show you now, I've got two more things to discuss together. The first thing is, I want to show you how firstly you can improve checking yourself. Because that's what you want. You want to develop the ability to see the errors for yourself. Yeah? So you want to be as good as you can. So I want to show you little tricks, tips that you can use to help you pick up these errors. Yeah? So I have a power cut here. Please just give me 1 minute. You might lose the... Is it okay? Just give me 1 minute.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So let's look. I've collected a few points here. The first thing is, let it breathe. What do we mean by let it breathe? It means don't check it. Don't check what you've written straight away. Put it down. Yeah? Put it down for a period of time. Yeah? The longer the better, actually. Yeah? Sometimes I'm surprised because even I read things that I wrote maybe 3 months ago, and then I think, I checked that many, many times, so I know that it was okay. But then 3 months later, I go back and I look at my writing, and I find more mistakes. I find many mistakes. So let it breathe. Try and put it down. Don't look at it. Come back with fresh eyes. Yeah. Don't trust spell check on MS Word. That's you might have had that experience, like we had that. We just had that example, didn't we? Like, for example. So, for example, MS Word, Microsoft Word wouldn't pick up that spelling mistake. You wouldn't get a red line because it's not a spelling mistake, but it's a different word. So don't trust MS Word. You can use AI software like Grammarly. I think I don't know how many of you are familiar with Grammarly. Grammarly, it's a free, actually, you can use it free. It's an online software. It's not perfect, but it's better. Yeah, it's much better than lots of other things. Yeah, Grammarly. So I'll just quickly show you what it looks like, what Grammarly looks like. Okay. So I'll show you an example. Okay, so this is Google. So here you can see it says free grammar checker. Yeah, and then you've got here free online writing assistant. I can't remember which one it is. Is it this one? Not this one. Sorry. This one. Okay, so again, it's not perfect. You can't upload your whole thesis, but you can upload like pages, maybe one page. You can do one page, one page, one page. So I'll just give you an example here. I'll copy something from a document I've got here. So for example, I copied something from my Word document and I pasted it in here.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And, yeah, so I pasted it in here, in Grammarly. And then can you see you can see the red lines there. You can't see the red lines. I don't know why you can't see what I'm seeing, but anyway, it tells you what mistakes you've made. Yeah, you can upload in here. I think you can upload up to 1,500 words. Yeah, and it'll underline. I don't know why you can't see what I'm seeing on my screen, but anyway, it's underlined. You know, it's saying there's a mistake there. It's saying there's a mistake there. It's saying something's wrong here. There's something wrong here. There's something wrong here. There's lots of mistakes. There are lots of mistakes in here. So you can just click. Yeah, you just click on the ones. So that's the first change. Is. Yeah, is. I've changed that. Websites here. That should be one word. Yeah, so that's changed. Now that's website. And then although, you can see this although here. There's a comma there. Yeah, that's wrong. So not much, that's wrong. We don't say not much familiar. Not much familiar. It's not good English. So we can just delete that. And then database. Oh, this should be different. This is plural, you see. There are different databases. This should be databases. Yeah, so you click on that, and then it changes to databases. So you see, this is quite it's a free software, and anything that you're writing, if you're at university and you're doing a small essay, a small assignment, you can just upload the whole thing here, and then you can just at least make sure that what you've written is grammatically correct. At least you can do that, yeah? So there are no mistakes, yeah? It's not cheating, it's not pretending, it's not showing, yeah? It's just, you're using modern technology, you're just being intelligent, yeah? And then try and learn from the mistakes. Don't just, correct. Try and learn from the mistakes that you're making, yeah? So this is Grammarly, yeah? This is Grammarly. So this is one way that you can check your own writing. Let's come back here. Grammarly. Okay, so that's it. You can use an AI software like Grammarly. Another thing you can do, actually professional proofreaders, they like to print out the thesis. They like to print out whatever it is they're checking, because it's actually easier to pick up the mistakes. But I think most people now, and because of the current situation, most people are checking online. So what you can do online, what you want to do, if you've read over the same thing many times and you're not seeing any mistakes, you need to change something. Yeah, maybe make the font bigger. Yeah, if you have a monitor, for example, you can make it really big on the screen. Yeah, you need to change the way that you look at your writing. So that's one way that you can do it. You can change the font size or the font type, so you're not always looking at the same thing. Print it out, as I said. Use a ruler. So actually, professional proofreaders, they will put a ruler and they will read one line by one line. Yeah, they'll be analysing each line. So that's one tip that a professional proofreader uses. I don't proofread on a printed out paper. I do all my proofreading on Word, which I'll show you. Yeah, make several passes. That's the thing. And that's what I mentioned at the beginning. You can't check everything at the same time. So you want to do passes. So first of all, look at the spelling mistakes. After that, then go through, look at the punctuation. Yeah? Then after that, maybe look at the headings. Are all the headings the same, for example? Yeah? Then go through, look at your footnotes. Yeah? So you go through doing different stages, yeah? Then you'll pick up more things. You can't check everything at the same time. Another technique, this might seem a bit strange, read it backwards. How does that work? How does that work, reading something backwards? It's sort of like this. Not every time. What I do when I'm checking, if I come to a sentence where suddenly something doesn't look right, I'm reading the sentence, maybe I've read the sentence once, I have to read it again. Something's not quite right here, but I don't know what it is. Something's not quite right. You can read it backwards, so it would be something like this. If I read number 2, it would be something like this. Don't trust spell check on MS Word. MS Word, on MS Word, check on MS Word, spell check on MS Word, trust spell check on MS Word, don't trust spell check on MS Word. So it just helps you. You can go back over the line a few times in different ways. Sometimes it helps to pick up the mistake. So that's one thing you can do. Read out loud. Read it out loud. It's really, really important. Yeah? Read it out loud. When you're reading something, read it out loud and listen to the rhythm. Yeah? The writing should have a good rhythm. Yeah? So that's something you can do. Sometimes when you're reading out loud, suddenly you hear it and you think, that doesn't sound right. Something's not quite right there. Maybe I'll change it. Yeah? So reading out loud is very good. And then the last two, if you're in a position to, yeah, if you can, this is the best thing to do, yeah? Ask a friend or a colleague to go through it, or call in a professional, yeah? That would be the best thing to do, but only if you're in a position to do that. So those are just 10 points that I've put on this document just to help you check things yourself. Yeah. So that's, yeah. I'll ask if there are any questions shortly. I've just got 2 more things to show you, and then I'll stop to see if there are any. Maybe there's some questions. Okay, so I think I'm going to jump down now. Yeah. What I'm going to show you now, some of you might be familiar with this. Some of you might be familiar. Some of you are not. But a proofreader or an editor, they'll use something called track changes. It's called track changes. It's a function. It's a feature on MS Word. Yeah, it's called track changes, and I'll show you how it's used. Yeah, so you have 2 things. You have track changes, and then you can add comments. Yeah, so this is what a professional proofreader or someone doing editing will use. Yeah, so I'll show you what I want to do is I want to actually give you a real example. Okay? I haven't sent this one to you, but what I thought we could just do an exercise together, just to make the session a bit more lively and a bit more interesting. I don't want you just sat there listening to me. So I thought, let's proofread a paragraph together. Let's actually do a paragraph together and see what you can pick up. Yeah? So I'll share the screen. I've got this. So actually, this is something I proofread recently. Yeah, one university here in Sri Lanka asked me to proofread something. So I just, for the benefit of this session, I thought I'd just show you. Okay, so here is a paragraph, and there are lots of things in it which need correcting. Yeah? Just have a look.
Yes.
Yeah? Just spend a few minutes just reading this. I just want you to see if you can identify anything. This is the one I actually showed you already in Grammarly. It's the same paragraph that I just showed you. But just see if you can pick up anything from here. I'll just give you 2 or 3 minutes to read through this.
Okay.
I usually those two more about that.
There might be maybe some words that are not familiar, but I think mostly you just get the idea. So I don't know what your eyes see, and I don't know what you're picking up, but there's work that needs to be done here. So the first thing I do would be to come up here to review. You see this button here? Little ribbon here, review. So I click review. And then we have some options here. And what when I'm doing it and when other proofreaders do, they have something here called track changes. And then you've got, basically all of this is related to track changes. Yeah. So, as a writer, it's not so important that you're familiar with all of this, but at least you should be familiar. Especially if you are working with someone proofreading or editing your work who's using this, you should be familiar. So you just simply click track changes. Yeah. So now track changes is on. Okay? Track changes is on. So it means anything we change here, so right. So now it's on. So here, any changes that we make, it's now going to show up. So what we'll do, I'll just do this as an exercise. Yeah, it's like we're proofreading this together. So the first thing, we go line by line. So data collection is also an important phase of any research work. In modern days, researchers use big data, which are. So with data, I would call that a uncountable noun. So I would change the are to is. Okay? So now you can see what's happened down the side here. Yeah? Down the side, it keeps the record. Yeah? Track changes keeps a record of everything that you've changed. So it says deleted this word, and it's now changed to is. Yeah? So all of the changes will be down the side here. Yeah? So after the proofreader or editor has finished this, you, as the writer of your thesis, you can then decide whether you agree with the change or not. Maybe you don't agree, so you can actually right-click, and then you have options here to accept or reject. accept or reject. So if you are happy with that change, you can click accept, and then that track will then disappear. Yeah. So if you click like here, for example, accept, now it's there. Yeah, it's gone. The change is there, but it's not recorded there. So that's the first thing. So let's go through websites. I'm going to change that here. You see, the first thing I go through, I just check that everything's correct. And then although, we've already done this, although, we're going to delete the comma there. So it's, you see, deleted the comma, it keeps a record. And then much, familiar, I'm going to delete that word much. That word much, that has gone now, deleted much, it told me. And then familiar of, that's the wrong preposition. Should be familiar with. Yeah, it should be familiar with. So I'm going to change that with, and then it tells me that you've deleted of. You change that to with. And then here, moreover, there are different databases. That should be databases. Can be something is, you see, something is not right here. You see? Something is not right with this sentence. There are different databases can be accessed over internet.
Which can be.
Yeah, exactly. Something is missing here, and also something is wrong here. Something is missing there also. Yeah, something is missing here.
Nothing article.
Yeah, it's article. There's an article missing. It should be the. Yeah, it should be the. So we can add those. So you can have which or that. Yeah, you can have which or that. I'd have to explain that point, the difference between which and that. But in British English, we can use both. Yeah, which and that can be accessed over the internet. Okay. What's wrong? Majority. But majority. Something is missing there. Something's missing. But majority of the humanities, social sciences, academic. Something's missing.
Article.
Article. Exactly. Article's missing there. So put that in. Now that keeps a record there. Now you've got the article there. What else have we got? What about this? Collecting primary data. What's missing there? Something's missing there. Something's missing.
The be verb.
Then say again?
Be verb. Rather than.
Yeah. Exactly. Rather than. The than is missing there.
Rather than, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Yes.
Then, if we come down a bit more, Google Form. You know, are you familiar? What should that be? In addition to Google Form.
Should be forms.
Very good. Very good. It should be Google Forms. And actually, it might even be one word. I'd have to. You see, sometimes when I'm checking, I'm not sure about some words, whether it's two separate words or whether it's a combined word. So very often I'll just go on the internet. I'll just type in Google and I'll just check, you know, what is the correct usage for that. But anyway, it should be Google Forms. Then if we come down to the last thing here, what about this? Which are unique to field of humanities and social sciences. Something's missing. Something's missing. What's missing?
Is it the article?
Yeah, article again. Yeah. Any anybody, because I know there are some of you, I can see some of your names there. Anybody who has, who I've worked with together, you'll know that the article is the most common mistake. It's the most common one that I find, yeah, the article, the or no article. So that's the first thing, yeah? This is not finished, yeah? This is not finished. Now it's all grammatically correct, yeah? Is there anything else you notice about this paragraph?
The first sentence, important phrase.
Say again, Monday?
The first sentence, important phrase, should be phrase.
Oh, yes. There is another one, you're right, yes. Data collection is also important. Oh, no. Data collection is also an important phase. No, that's fine. That's fine. That's okay. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay. An important phase. That's okay. Yeah. So what we have just done is just done basically proofreading. We've just checked the grammar. But I want to highlight something else to you. This is something the copy editor does. What I want to show you is this. Is there any more there? Have I missed any? So this is something that maybe an editor would do. We call these types of words linking. Yeah, they're important. We need to use these words in our academic writing. They're important words. Yeah, they link all our sentences together. But you shouldn't overuse them. Yeah, you shouldn't overuse them. So when I'm checking, I look for things like this. Have I overused? You see, pretty much every sentence begins with one of these linking words or phrases. Yeah, it's too repetitive. It is following a very similar structure. Yeah. So how can you improve that? Well, there are a number of things that you can do. You can sometimes just delete them. Sometimes you don't actually need to have that linking word because the sentence naturally connects. That's one thing that can be done. You can just delete it. And another way is you can move the position. Yeah? You can move the position. You don't need to start the sentence. You can actually put that word maybe in the second place or the third place. Yeah? So for example here, you see this example here, you could say, most of the researchers, however, use Google Forms. You could move the position so it's not beginning each sentence. That's another thing that you can do. Yeah? So this is something a copy editor will do. They will see page after page, have you just repeated the same types of sentences again and again? You should vary your writing, yeah, to improve it. So we'll just do this quickly because I'll just show you. I'm sure you can do this in many different ways. I'm sure that you could improve this, but just for time, I'll make some changes here. So that one will keep the same. Moreover, will keep the same. But I'm going to do something here. I'm going to combine these two sentences. I'm not going to have these as two separate sentences. I'm actually going to combine, and I'm actually going to do this. Then going to make this a complex sentence by removing that one. I'm doing this quite quickly, so there may be better ways to do it, but just to give you an idea. So now you have a sentence. Moreover, there are different databases that can be accessed over the internet, although the majority of HSS academics are still focusing on collecting primary data rather than secondary data. Most of the researchers use Google Forms for collecting primary data, which is more popular during the pandemic as well. So it's a very long sentence, so I might decide it's too long. Maybe I divide it again. But this is just to give you an idea about small changes you can make to improve the writing style. And then here you've got, in addition, you've got therefore, however. You've got three linking there. So what I could do here is, we could do this. Oh, there's another spelling. There's another mistake here, actually. That should be becoming. That should be becoming. Also becoming popular. We missed that one earlier. Yeah, we got that one now. Yeah, exactly. You got it. Like Zoom are also becoming popular in communities. Okay. So then here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to link these last two sentences. I don't like that however there. I don't like that however at the end. So I'm going to make this one sentence. And I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to do this. Therefore, and then here. I'm going to delete that one. And I'm going to do this. And I'm going to change this one despite a few barriers, and I'm going to put this on the end. Despite a few barriers. Like that. So I'm going to combine, I'm just going to change the structure a bit, but I'm going to stop there. I'm going to make it one sentence now. Therefore, HSS, Humanities and Social Sciences, so therefore HSS academics tend to use different digital tools when they collect data, despite a few barriers being identified, which are unique to the field of HSS. So I've deleted one of those howevers. Yeah? So now this paragraph has been proofread and edited. Maybe as a first draft. So now I'll move on. Now I'll move on to the next paragraph. Yeah? So that's it. That's all I wanted to just to show you a live check. You see all the changes are down the side here. Yeah, all of the changes. So if you zoom out, this is what you'll get. You see here? That's what it looks like. Yeah? All of the changes and all of the records, everything that you've done down the side there. Yeah?
Okay, excuse me, Mr. Oliver.
Yes, Monday.
Yes, before you move to another slide,
Yeah.
Could I ask a question?
Sure, Monday.
Yes, Mr. Oliver, in our academic writing, the word but and the therefore, so such kind of words should we use in our thesis?
Yes, they're all used. I mean, And there are definitely words that you should avoid using. There are words that you should avoid. But yes, certainly, therefore is very, very common in academic writing. But the thing that you should be familiar with is all of the synonyms. So, for instance, you've got therefore, okay? If when you're checking your writing and you notice, oh, actually, I'm always using the word therefore. I'm always using that word. Is there anything else that I can use? So one of the easiest things you can do, it's not perfect every time, but you can right-click. You can right-click on the word and then you can get the synonyms. So at least you can get... So you see the first one, Bante, so would probably not be good to use in academic writing.
Of course.
Yeah? So. But consequently, hence, thus, those are all very common in academic writing. You also might have things like as a result, yeah, as a result, as a consequence. Yeah, you have lots of different synonymous terms to use. But yeah, but some people some people do use that, some people don't. They just prefer to use like however instead of but. But it's used. Yeah, it's used.
Yes, thank you, Mr. For your explanation. Thank you.
Yeah. So the great thing is that at one click of the button, if you are happy with this, after you get your thesis back and you see all the changes, if you're happy with everything, you can actually come up here, you see where it says accept. You can come up here, you can click down, and you can say here, accept all changes and stop tracking. So if you click that button, then it's finished. Yeah? Now it's complete. You don't need to do anything. You just save it and ready to go. Yeah? One click of the button. So, that's it. That's all I'm going to present this evening. But I don't know how long we have, Bante, if we have time for questions, or have we gone over time? I don't know.
Yeah, normally we have conducted for 2 hours.
Good. Yeah, good.
Yes, 1.5 hour for your lecture and yeah, half an hour is for question and answer section.
Okay, great. So yeah, that's all, because there's a lot of information, but I just wanted to give you the main ideas, the main things to notice. So any questions then? Does anybody? Shall we have some questions now?
So, moderator, you don't say anything, you don't conclude, so I will ask a question.
Yes, whenever there's actually, I don't think the lecture is not finished. The lecture has not finished yet. Yes, Mr. Oliver, have you finished your lecture? Giving lecture?
I won't show any more. I think it is enough.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for your valuable and informative lecture tonight for tonight's section. So, yeah, now our lecture has already finished. So, it is time for question and answer. So I love to hear some questions from the participants. So may I invite all of our participants to ask or to put the questions openly. Thank you all. You are welcome. Okay, please, whenever Panyasara, now you can ask the question.
Hello, teacher. Recently, paragraph that you prepare. So, before you prepare, I see paragraph so beautifully, but after you correct it. So when we see some similar paragraphs like that, so what is a better way to recorrect those brief paragraphs without any a teacher or a friend help? Can we use any better technology like a CAMARI like this? Do you have any better idea?
Yeah, Bante, like I said, the best. Thank you for your question, Bante. Yeah, it's like that. That's why I showed you the paragraph. You look at it and you think, oh wow, that's like really professional and it's really academic. It is a good paragraph. It's well written, but as you saw, there are many things to correct. So definitely, the best thing, is to give it to someone, is to show it to someone else. That's the best thing. But like you said, if you're not in that position, if it's difficult, then Grammarly is the next best thing to do, because it's really good. I'm really impressed actually how good that Grammarly is. Although you can only check small bits at a time, but it picks up most of the corrections. There's a paid version. That's the free version. Yeah, there's a premium version which you pay for. I don't know whether it's a one-time payment or monthly. I don't know. But if you get the paid version, that really does a lot. That will like completely change your sentence structures, and it's a really big thing. But then I do think you're then moving in a. I don't think it's good to do that, because then it is like something else has written it for you. So it's good, but I would suggest just at least using the free version, just to make sure that you're grammatically correct, and then try and find a friend or someone that you know is really good in English, and they can read it and check more for the meaning. Yeah? The meaning. Yeah? Yeah.
Thank you for your answer, teacher. Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable Panyachara, for your putting very good question, and Mr. Oliver for your giving answer. It is one of my questions. One of my questions to put Mr. Oliver, because in current situation we are seeing some students who are trying to amend their writing by paraphrasing in Grammarly software. So yes, before you answer that question, I want to know your idea. How do you feel such kind of amending, such kind of paraphrasing in Grammarly?
Yeah.
So how is the advantage or disadvantage of paraphrasing and changing the paragraph in Grammarly software?
Yeah. I have seen one of my friends. He showed me one time. He showed me, and he asked me, Can you check what that paraphrase is? He put it in the software. It paraphrased, and I read it, and it's not very good. I didn't think it was a very good paraphrase, so I wouldn't trust it. I wouldn't trust it. I would work on your English. I would spend more time working on your English and develop your own ability to paraphrase yourself. that's what you should do. Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a limit. There's a limit. You should use it. You know, I make grammar mistakes all the time. Yeah. I do. So there's a limit. I think just to check a bit of proofreading, just to check a bit of grammar, that's okay. But rewriting your work in a software, then yeah, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't encourage it.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. I'm very happy to hear. I do not love such kind of paraphrasing.
Yeah. I don't think it's honest.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, is there any question? Raise your hand, ask question. Yeah, firstly, may I request all of the participants to raise your hand before you ask the question. Okay, now whenever Naimala is raising the hand, so please describe your question whenever Naimala towards Mr. Oli.
Yes, thank you for your giving me a chance for the question. I have two questions. First one is according to my understanding, in the academic writing, you cannot correct their idea, but you can correct their grammar. Is this right or wrong? Or do you recommend?
Yeah, it's a really good question, Bante. It's a really good question. Again, there's a limit, isn't there? There's a limit. You know, if I'm reading something, like if I read a sentence and it's just not clear, like I'm just not clear what the meaning is there, then I'll ask. You know, if I'm proofreading, you know, someone's work, I'll ask them, what do you want to say? Because it's not clear. So it's working closely together. What do you actually want to say? What's the meaning? And then they say, this is what I meant to say. And then I might say, well, that's not what it says. It says something different. So you need to write that. You need to rewrite this. Yeah. So you should point things out. You should point things out like that's not clear. That's what you've written there is not clear. It's not just the grammar, it's just that's not clear, your argument there. You should try and rewrite it. Yeah? So there's a balance, man. There's a balance, that's all.
But, thank you, sir. My second question is for the proofreading. Suppose one is grammar, second is the dictionary, that one is the idiom. These three, how many percentage can support for the proofwriting, or they are proofreading or writing? They are treating.
Can you say the three things again? But the dictionary.
Yeah. One is grammar.
Yeah.
One is grammar. Second is the dictionary. That one is the idiom.
What was the last one? The third one?
That one is idiom. Yeah.
Idiom. I can't catch that last one. Was it?
That one is idiom, sir. Idiom. Yeah.
Idiom English.
You mean when you're checking yourself, Bante? Is that what you mean? When you're checking yourself? You said.
Sorry, I couldn't understand what you mean.
Yeah, can I just be clear about your question? Yeah.
Okay, I will explain it again. When we are proofwriting ourselves, first one we have to correct our grammar. Second one is for the dictionary. That one is idiom. For that, do you recommend and can you add more or less, or any idea for that?
I can't really add anything more than what I said. The thing is, you can't do everything at the same time. You can't do everything. So that's the first thing to keep in mind. Because if you try and do everything at the same time, you will miss things. Yeah, because on one page, you have footnotes, you have headings, you have subheadings, you have quotations, you have all this different punctuation marks. There's so much to check. So, yeah, you need to go through definitely the most important thing at the beginning is make sure that all of your sentences are grammatically correct. Yes, make sure that every sentence somebody can read it and understand what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
That's the most important thing, because often that's what happens is that, you know, a student will write a draft. Yeah, they will finish their thesis and they will think, I finished. I haven't got much to do now. I basically, maybe next month I can submit and I finished. But then actually there's a lot of work to do because the sentences are not grammatically correct. So the first thing is check the grammar, make sure the sentences are clear. Then you can then start to work on other things. Yeah. So you have to go step by step. Yeah, step by step. And you just do your best. You do your best on your own. But as I showed you at the beginning, even the most famous writers in the world, Bhikkhu Bodhi, yeah, he's one of the most famous Buddhist scholars in the world. He gives his work for other people to read, to proofread, to edit, to give suggestions. So that's what should be done. Yeah. So you do as much as you can, and then you try and get some help.
Your comment is according when we are proofreading ourselves, we have to correct with the grammar. Is the most important for that.
I would say so at the beginning. Yeah. At the beginning, I would say that, yeah, that's very important. But more than grammar, okay?
Yes.
More than grammar, your ideas. Yeah, that is actually the most important thing. Your argument, your opinion, your ideas.
Yes.
Yeah? The way that you are presenting your your research.
Yes.
Yeah? So that is important. Yeah, that's important. Grammar, that's normal. You can just check that. Yeah, that can be checked.
Yes.
Yeah.
When we proof reading ourselves, how many times should we at least we have to read ourselves?
It's not exact. I can't give a exact.
Okay.
Yeah. Many times. You have to read many times.
Okay, thank you, both of you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, now I would like to nominate Venerable Lau Hua. Yeah, I'm very sorry for that. I can't pronounce your name very well. Yeah, please, Venerable Lau Hua.
Thank you. Thank you, teacher Oliver, for your wonderful and interesting lecture. Yeah, I have two questions. The first one is, earlier you talked about two things, copy editor and proofreader. So usually we are very familiar with proofreader, to be honest, for me, but I'm not very familiar with copy editor. So is it usually done by ourselves, by the writer, or done by the second person, to ask other people to do it? And the second question is, we saw article. Yeah. So to me, usually we are not very sure if we have not seen in the first sentence, second, before. Right now we should put article there.
Yeah.
Because some words are not very unique. I mean, not very a proper name. So a bit very common. So we don't know whether we should put article there or not.
So the answer to your first question, Bante, about the copy editing, you should really be working with someone. That doesn't mean somebody else is writing your thesis for you. Definitely that should not happen. Yeah, it should be your thesis, it's your work. But as we saw, you don't do this alone, you have a supervisor. Yeah, maybe the supervisor also recommends someone to help you. Yeah, that's very common at our university. So the copy editing part, yes, you're doing it on your own, but you're trying to get some support. Yeah? So the copy editing, as you know very well, Bante, the copy editing is, maybe you have to change the structure. You have to change the order of things. You have to get everything flowing and connecting nicely. Yeah? Once everything's presented nicely, then you can go over it again and do that fine tuning, going through and doing the proofreading. So the copy editing, you should be working with someone. You should be doing it with someone, because related to Bante's point earlier, if you give your work to someone else to do the copy editing, maybe they're rewriting it. Maybe they're changing a lot of things. So it's not you that's doing the work. So the copy editing, you should be doing together with someone, but the proofreading, that can be done, you can just give that to someone, yeah, and then they can just check all the grammar. That can be done by someone separately. Yeah, so that's the first thing. And your supervisor should actually help you with that. Your supervisor should be involved with this, giving you suggestions and about the structure and the organizing. So that's the first thing. The second thing, the article. I've been formally teaching English for like 7-8 years now, and especially over the last 5 years, really focusing on academic writing and academic writing classes. And I check professors' work, I check doctors, I check students, I check people, all different levels of English. And that article is the most common one. Every page, the, no, the, is the most common. And it's very difficult sometimes to teach, to say exactly why. So I would have to go into more detail to that one. You just have to become more familiar. The thing with the article is, mostly it's, are you talking about something specific, or are you talking about something in general? That's one way that you can look at articles, especially the definite articles. But and like you said, Bante, are you introducing something for the first time, or have you already introduced it? Now you can use a different article. It's difficult for me to say exactly about that one, because it's the most common. It's the one that I come across most, the article. You just have to try your best and become more familiar. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Oliver, for your answering. In your lecture, I noted that the article is the most normally found mistake. So more than the article, which kind of mistakes are commonly found in your proofreading? I believe you are very expert in proofreading. You have a lot of experience. And so, which kind of mistake more than article are commonly found in proofreading?
Yeah, that's also a good question. I have to think about that because it's different for different students. I am also a student, so yeah, it's different students. Commas, the misuse of the comma, that's quite common. Yeah, not having the comma in the right place, or maybe yeah. Oh, one thing that I do notice actually is I see a lot of writers, a lot of researchers who are doing their MPhil or PhD, and there seems to be this very common style of writing, which I don't actually like. I don't like the way that it's written. I always try and change it, or I make a suggestion to change it. It's something like, he, however, had another idea. He, comma, however, comma, had another idea. And sometimes it's a very long sentence, so you have to wait a very long time to get to the main verb. You have this dependent bit sort of near the beginning. And that style of writing, if you are always writing like that, it can become very difficult to read. Because you're always waiting, reading. Where's the main verb? You have to, sometimes, the subject's up here, and the main verb is way down here. Yeah? Because somehow that's good academic writing, when it's not.
Yeah, it is also not beautiful sentences.
Yes, exactly. So it's okay to do it from time to time, but if you're making a habit from doing that, I see lots of writers doing that. So I prefer just to say he had another idea, just directly, without using this however thing, or something like that. I think you get the point.
Yes, we have seen many expert scholars are using like that.
Yeah, exactly.
One sentence very hard to understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Very popular, famous scholar.
Yeah, exactly, Bante, exactly. Because you've read it, because you've seen a famous scholar using that style, you think, I will also write with that style. So you copy. But, yeah, it can be difficult to read.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Oliver, now there are two participants waiting to put the question to you. The first one is Venerable Aloka, and the second one is Venerable Panyaindriya. So now, I'm going to designate Venerable Aloka first to put your question. Please, Venerable.
Thank you, Venerable. So I would like to one question. How many persons are connecting truth, reading and writing completely, sir?
Can you say again, Bante? My sound is not good.
How many persons are connecting truth, reading and writing completely, sir?
Yeah, again, I cannot say exactly. Some PhDs that I check, it depends on the ability. Yeah, it depends on the researcher's ability, the student's ability. Yeah, some students or some PhD students, they I work together, and their English is really, really good. It's really, really good. So you're not making I would also say, Bante, it depends on the thesis. For example, if a student is doing a translation of a text, this is a very common thesis to do, maybe a translation of the commentary, or they're translating from maybe Pali to English. Especially from the commentaries are very difficult to translate, or can be very difficult to translate into English. And when I'm checking a translation, I have to spend like double the amount of time. I have to spend so much more time because it's more difficult. Yeah? So I can't say exactly, but every page there will be corrections. Yeah. But that's normal, Bante, it's normal. Yeah?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Aloka and Mr. Uri. Yes, now it is time for our brother Benevan to put the question. Yes, please, Benevan, come and raise your question.
Hello, Bante.
Hello, Benevan Panyendriya. Now I saw your hand.
You're on mute, Bante. You're on mute.
Yes. No.
Yes. Hello. Oliver, I'm very happy today lecture. It's wonderful. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, Bante.
Hello? Hello?
Yes?
Okay.
You are Oliver. We can hear. Yeah. Please go on. Okay, now I think he is probably in poor connection. So before he reads his question, I would like to read some questions in the check box.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yes. Now there are two questions in the chat box. Now the first question is from Misawati. Now she typed in the chat box, "Thanks a lot, sir. And I have one question. That is, when we use Grammarly software, can we believe it totally?" Now the question is that, can we believe the Grammarly software totally? That is the question of her.
Yeah, so I think we saw that example when I copied that paragraph and I put in that Grammarly. Mostly it's good. I have used Grammarly, yeah, this one. I have used it and it's good. Yeah, it's good. But you should never 100% trust it. Yeah, you can use it, but for small grammar mistakes, yes, I think you can trust it, but not for deeper corrections.
Yeah.
That's really why. That's really like I said, you can use it to a limit, but the best thing is to try and find someone.
Yes, actually, we need
the best way.
Yeah, we need to find the cooperator. Yeah,
that's the best thing.
More than the software.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. And another question in the chat box is,
I'm sorry.
Now are you okay, Panyendriya?
Yes, I'm alright.
It's clear.
I hope it's okay connection. I'm sorry for that. So can you hear me?
Yes, Bante. Yes, Bante.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Oliver. I'm so happy with your lecture. It's really, really wonderful. My question is that you mentioned the most important thing is the idea is very important to edit, to write or something. But sometimes we have the idea is really good, but to continue writing, for example, like a linking word or like flow idea, or what is it? The most important thing is to do that.
Yeah, I mean, they're related. Like when we say the idea is the most important thing, in order to write your idea, in order to present your idea clearly, you have to have proper grammar. Yeah? Otherwise, what you are trying to say, you won't be saying it because you won't be writing it correctly. It won't read correctly because of the grammar or because, like you said, Bante, the linking. So I would say, just write freely. When you're writing, don't overthink. Don't overthink. Yeah, when different times require different mentality. When you're writing, don't think so much about grammar. Don't think so much about all the linking and everything like that. You should be in the flow. Just write. You're typing. Just type freely. Let your ideas come. Yeah, type it. Yeah, keep typing. After you've finished, then you can step back, take a break, and then look at what you've written. Then you can see, maybe I've repeated that word, that linking word, I'll change that one, or then you start fine-tuning. Yeah, you start making small adjustments. So when you're in the writing stage, don't overthink. If you overthink, then you will be stuck. You will get stuck. You will never write. Just write freely as best you can, trying to present your idea. Yeah, then show it to someone. Show it to someone. This is, please have a look. Is my idea clear? Can when you read it, can you understand what I'm saying? That's the next stage.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I believe that Manuel Peña is satisfied with the answer of Mr. Oliver. Yeah. Okay.
That's great.
Thank you, Manuel Peña, for asking the question, and thank you, Mr. Oliver, for answering that question. Okay, now here's one person, Manuel Surya. So please, Manuel Surya, please put your question towards Mr. Oliver.
Thank you. Let me to ask a question to Mr. Oliver. Nice to meet you. Yeah, this is an interesting presentation. I really like it. I have a question. Our professor asked me to write a thesis. If he gives me 1 year to write, so I have to finish within 8 months, because I have to have 2 months or 3 months to check or to review my thesis. Is this right or wrong?
We can't say exactly. Like if you have 12 months, 8 months, and then you need 4. I wouldn't say exactly like that, but definitely you should not rush at the end. Yeah. So you write for 11 months and 2 weeks, and then you only have 2 weeks remaining to check everything.
Yeah.
That's not good. You don't want to be doing that. You want to avoid that. So, that's probably about right, but not exact. It could be 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. I think if you're writing for 1 year, at least keep At least 2 months, I would say.
Oh, yeah, at least.
I would say at least 2 months.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
That's probably enough time. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, it is 3 minutes to be 9 p.m. So, I would like to wait for someone to ask the question personally. So, during I'm waiting, some participants, I would like to read some questions in the chat box. Yeah, there are 3 questions in the chat box, but I will skip the last question because it has already answered about the common mistake. Yeah, that is very clear. So, I will read the first question. It is very simple, Mr. Oliver. It is very simple because it is about the abbreviation use. Yeah, the question is raised by Benuga Warita. I'd like to know the meaning of HSS. And before the first HSS, you put the article. And the letter HSS. Why don't correct and put in the article? That is the question from Benuga Warita. Yes.
Okay, so the first one, HSS, in this one is an abbreviation. It means Humanities and Social Sciences. Yeah, Humanities and Social Sciences. So our Buddhist studies, actually, the field of Buddhism and Buddhist studies, it's within the humanities. Yeah, we are part of the humanities. So that's what it stands for, Humanities and Social Sciences. And then your second question, yes. Here is the article. Sorry, I'm doing another. Can you see that? Am I doing this in the wrong place? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Here is there is an article here, and then you said there's no article here. So, let's look at the first one. You could delete this one. You don't need that one there. You could delete that. Sometimes you can use the article or not. Yeah? So you're talking here about humanities and social science academics. This is plural. This is plural. So actually you don't need it. The majority of humanities and social science academics, it's a plural form. But because you are talking about specific academics, not all academics, you're talking about humanities and social science academics, you could put the article there. So this is why I said I didn't want to go into great detail. I know it's the most common one, but we would need a whole session, a whole class on just doing the article, which we don't have time. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Olio. The question here, the question in the chat box is from RK Vansa. So before I read that question, yes, I would like to invite the last one who will put the question because it is 9 o'clock. Yeah, time is up. So yeah, it is time for wind up the lecture. So yeah, before we wind up the lecture, yeah, I would like to allow one person to put as the last. Yeah, but now I would like to read the question in the chat box. Sir, how can we start the topic sentence and how can we start conclude concluding sentence in a paragraph after collecting data? Yeah, that is the question from R.K. Vansa. Please, Mr. Oliver, please satisfy with that answer to the questioner.
Just give me one. I'll show you something which I hope might be easier to see then. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, I'll show you this. I can put this in the chat box for everyone so you can have a. I'll try and do it. Okay, let me show you this. Sometimes this is quite useful to see this. Okay. Again, it's not exact. Not every paragraph is like this, but it's quite good to have this in mind. Okay. So you have to think about your paragraph. Every sentence in a paragraph has a purpose. Each sentence in a paragraph is doing something different. So as you know, usually, not every paragraph, but usually the first sentence will be the topic sentence. That will be the first sentence in a paragraph. Sometimes the topic sentence is in the middle, sometimes the topic sentence is at the end. But mostly, if you are really trying to establish a good academic writing style, the first sentence should be the topic sentence. The next sentence in the paragraph, you should be saying something about the topic. Maybe you're explaining something about the topic. So, the Buddha taught the first noble truth of dukkha. Dukkha means suffering. You see, the first sentence introduces the topic, dukkha. The second sentence says something about that word or something about that topic. Yeah. The third part of the paragraph, this is when you can start introducing some examples, reasons, evidence, maybe quotations. Every time you put a quotation, never leave it there alone. You should always have a comment. After every quotation, you have to say something about the quotation. What does it mean? How does that quotation fit into your argument, into your presentation? Yeah? So that would be the next sentence. And then a lot of paragraphs, but not every paragraph, they have a concluding sentence. It just finishes off the paragraph. Maybe it links to the next paragraph. Yeah, so this gives you an idea that if you look, on average, every paragraph is about 5, 6, 7, 8 sentences long, maybe. Every paragraph is a similar size. Some paragraphs are longer, but it just gives you an idea. The first 1 or 2 sentences like this, the next 2 like this, then like this. Yeah, this is the academic style. So I hope that answers your question, or at least gives you some more ideas.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Mr. Oliver, for your putting some valuable idea about the topic sentence and concluding sentence. Yes. If there is no one the question, yes,
I have it, but no. Okay.
Very okay. Before you put the question, I would like to know the wish of Mr. Oliver. Should we allow to put both of them or one of them.
I'm happy. If you are happy, then
we are also happy.
yeah.
Okay, so if it is permitted for both, right?
Yeah. Yes, please, Bante. Yeah, please. Ask both.
Okay, the first question is Venerable Arya Wansa, and the second is Venerable Dhammananda. Yes?
Mr. Oliver, let me ask you a very important question about your proofreading. In your proofreading research lecture, partially you explain the meaning of the proofreading. Just correcting the grammar mistake in correcting the punctuation. Yeah, punctuation is the most important thing in our writing skill. So when you correct most of the PhD thesis, which kinds of punctuation we need to put in our writing, which kinds of punctuation we may make mistakes in our writing. And this is one first question. Second question is, you already read most of the PhD thesis. At the time, you may find any different types of the mistakes. Yeah, which mistake the most you see in any PhD thesis? So you have to suggest. You should suggest any of our members of the group in this session. So please suggest any of the researchers not to make this types of the mistake when we write our thesis. This is the second question. Yeah.
Sorry, but what was the first question again? Just remind me. Punctuation is the second.
Yeah. The first question is the punctuation. Punctuation. Yeah. Which types of punctuation we need to put in our writing skill? In our writing.
Okay.
What types of punctuation do you already found? Most of we need to write in our thesis.
Yeah. So let's just be clear about what we mean by punctuation. So punctuation, we're talking about things like full stops, commas, colons, semicolons, quotation marks, even footnotes, things like that. Probably the most common thing I find, Bante, is consistency. Okay, so it means on one page you use single quotation marks, and then on another page you use double quotation marks. Or one page you have the end of the sentence, you have a full stop, quotation mark, footnote. But on another page you have quotation mark, footnote, full stop. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, you have the punctuation in different places. Is the footnote here or is it here? Is the full stop there or is it there? Yeah. So with those types of punctuation, there's it can be different actually. Different writers do like this, other writers do like that. So the most important thing for punctuation is you have to make a decision at the beginning. What style are you going to use? Yeah? Are you going to use, for all of your direct quotations, are you going to use double? Or are you going to use single? Yeah? Make a decision at the beginning. Both are acceptable. You just make a decision at the beginning. I will only use single or I will only use double. Yeah? That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And it's the same for all of it. Are you going to use a colon or are you going to use a semicolon when maybe introducing something? Make a decision at the beginning. Don't change. Don't on one page do like this, then another page like that. That's the most common thing I find.
Right.
Consistency. article. That's the most common.
Okay,
much more than any other. If I collect all of the corrections, maybe that will be like, I don't know, 50%.
Yeah. Oh, very nice. Very nice, reliable answer. Very nice answer.
Thank you very real answer for your very good question, and thank you, Mr. Oliver, for your informative answer. Now it is time for Venerable Dhammananda. The question I think is the last one for tonight. Thank you, Venerable Dhammananda. You are welcome.
Thank you, Master Oliver. Very great. So now, when we use the Grammarly software, so the auto paraphrasing is the Grammarly correct. So it's suitable for academic writing. That is a past question. So another one is when we want to omit using the I, we in our academic thesis. So we use the past by sentence. So how do you comment on that? That is two questions.
Yeah, two good questions, Bante. We would have to have a whole session on these things. I wouldn't do the paraphrasing in an AI software. I wouldn't do it. Yeah, I don't feel comfortable doing it because it's not really you, is it? It's the thing with paraphrasing. This is your you know this very well when you're writing a thesis. If you're doing lots of quotations from secondary sources, you're recommended to paraphrase as much as possible. Yeah? And when you're quoting from primary source, like let's say the Tipitaka, the Pali text, no problem. You can just quote directly. No need to paraphrase. You just quote directly. But the paraphrasing, you see, this shows your ability. Yeah? Paraphrasing shows that you have understood the sentence or understood the paragraph, and you have the ability to write it in your own words. So if you have just uploaded it into a software and clicked enter, and it's just automatically done it, then I don't think it's honest. I don't think it's good. Yeah. I think it's better to struggle and to find writing paraphrasing difficult. It's better to do that than to do the easy way, because that easy way is not it's not honest. So I would avoid that. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is a really good question, and it's something I discuss a lot with. I have a group of lawyers at the moment. I have Sri Lankan lawyers at the moment who are writing their PhDs, and I'm doing work with them. And it's the same thing. Their supervisors tell them you cannot use I, you, we, us. You shouldn't use it. You should avoid it. I don't agree. Okay? I don't agree. You should not be writing always in the passive voice. It's your thesis. Yeah, it's your research. Although you are trying to be objective, you are trying to present the evidence, you are trying to present your arguments in an objective way. But it's your thesis. They are your opinions. They are your ideas. So you should express yourself. There are times to use I. There are times to use we. Yes. If you always write in the passive voice, it's not a good style. Personally speaking, I don't think it's a good style. Passive voice is very useful in certain situations. possible, you should try and write in the active voice. The active voice, it doesn't only mean I. Yeah? That's active voice is, the Dharma was taught by the Buddha. That's passive voice, yeah? The Buddha taught the Dhamma. That's active voice. Yeah? So, I would find a balance. I wouldn't accept that idea that you can't use I. You can. You can use I and you can use we. And you should use I and you should use we in the appropriate place.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Brandon Damananda, for your asking question. And I already say again, thank you, Mr. Oliver, for your time, valuable time. Yes, I'm very sorry for being time is over. Now, it is time to wind up our lecture by reciting the Buddha's Sadhanasi Untitled to 3 times. But before we wind up our lecture, I would like to propose whenever Arya wants to offer our thankful words instead of our research committee and also on behalf of our participants to offer our thankful words towards Mr. Oliver tonight's lecture. Okay,
Yeah.
please, very once.
Yeah, I want to say thank you for all of you. Firstly, especially today programs, supporting not only the Latara, Mr. Oliver Tana, but also every listener, participant of this research programs. So both of them are very important to finish or to succeed in this program. Firstly, Mr. Oliver just is supporting this Magudarama Rasa program very actively and very tirelessly, and also answer the question, very happily, and supporting many suggestions to the questioner, and also you share your spiritual property very generously to all of the members of this class, researcher, new generation of our researcher. And also, most of the researchers are just joining this Magudarama research methodological training very actively. I also thank all of you. Both Lachara and just researcher, both of them, just actively and equally, supporting the time to complete today's research program or research session. So all of you are very important for the Magudarama research training program. So I say thank you, all of you. Not only in this year, but also the next year when we trying to open this Magudarama research seminar program, please, kindly, join this program very actively. And finally, I want to say thank you to the research committee member of, Magudarama research program. Without your supporting, we cannot do our research program very successfully. That's why I really thank you, our research committee member. So finally, I say all of the research lecturer, but also all members of the researcher, to complete this research program very actively and very successfully. Thank you for all of you.
Thank you very much for your thankful words. Okay, now I humbly request all participants to recite Buddha Sadhana chanted to 3 times in order that we can wind up our lecture tonight.
Buddha